Once, Santhammal encountered some difficulty because she could not find a replacement for an oil vessel that was leaking. She reported this to Bhagavan, saying that things would be much easier if she could get another vessel. Bhagavan did not answer. Within 10 days, 6 huge jars were delivered from the railway station to Ramanashramam without the sender's address. Even now, it is not known who sent the jars. Bhagavan called Santhammal and said, "Santhammal, you wanted a jar. Here are 6. Another time, Santhammal needed some money. Within 3 days, she got a money order for the exact amount that she needed. It was sent by someone named Srinivasa Rao, who had read an article in the newspaper about Ramana Maharshi. When he read that a lady cook named Santhammal had come to the ashram to serve Bhagavan, he had an urge to send her some money. Santhammal later told me that these 2 incidents proved that complete faith in the Guru was enough. One day, Bhagavan and Santhammal were cooking in the kitchen. Bhagavan was stirring the vegetable stew continuously when he suddenly stopped and looked at her. Santhammal immediately became still. Everything disappeared, leaving behind only complete silence and pure joy. She was experiencing the highest beatitude. After some time, Bhagavan started moving and Santhammal came back to her senses. He looked at the stew and said, "This has boiled fully and become noiseless. Now you can add the spices." Santhammal understood this to mean that she should make the mind noiseless and in that state add the spice of wisdom to it. This is how Bhagavan incorporated the teaching into daily activities. On another occasion, Bhagavan entered the kitchen just as Santhammal finished cooking a dish. She requested Bhagavan to taste it. Bhagavan jovially answered, "You know, the kings have food tasters whom they pay enormously for doing this job. Santhammal, this is what you are asking me to do. What is the payment that you will give me?" Santhammal replied, "Bhagavan, I am a beggar. I can only give you myself." This surrender was wholeheartedly accepted by the master. Santhammal's cooking was loved by all, not only because it was extremely tasty, but because it was done by a fully surrendered soul. Santhammal narrated an interesting incident that took place in the hall. There was once a stranger, a European, who came to the ashram in a horse cart and went straight into the hall. There, he gave Bhagavan a piece of paper he had written something on. Bhagavan read it and looked at him. Immediately, the man closed his eyes and became quiet. After some time, Bhagavan too closed his eyes and they remained together in silence. A few people around them were also submerged in that peace. The lunch bell rang as usual at 11, but Bhagavan and the European were unmoved. At 12, both opened their eyes. The European left ecstatic. Bhagavan once said, "With whichever vessel you go to the ocean, you can get only that much water. If it is merely a cup, you will get a cup of water. If it is a bucket, you will get a bucket. Go and loot the whole ocean." This European came to loot the whole ocean. Santhammal told me what a fortunate person the European was to have received that grace. Another interesting incident that Santhammal has recorded involves a Hindu monk. Once, an aged North Indian monk came to Ramanashramam and stayed there for a few weeks. On the last day, he came to Bhagavan and stood in front of him and said, "Bhagavan, everything in Ramanashramam has given me great satisfaction. Now I am ready to leave. Fulfill my heart's desire." Bhagavan did what he has perhaps never done before or after. He stood up, walked up to the monk, and touched him. Both stood like this for some time until the monk fell at Bhagavan's feet with tears flowing from his eyes. Getting up with an exquisite smile on his face and filled with ecstasy, he left Bhagavan's presence. One more happening shared by Santhammal and not found in any other book on Bhagavan involves the Mysore Maharaja. During the British regime, there were over 300 kingdoms within India, each one having a king, queen, palace, and army. Among these, 2 of the biggest were Hyderabad and Mysore. The Mysore Maharaja was a scholar and patron of the arts and culture. One day, wishing to be unnoticed, he came to Bhagavan in the dead of night and stayed until early the next morning. He wanted a private audience with Bhagavan, but Bhagavan had never obliged anyone. There were always devotees with him in the hall or when he went walking up the hill. So Bhagavan permitted the Maharaja to meet him in the 8-by-8-foot bathroom where he bathed. Santhammal told me that Bhagavan revealed to her that the Maharaja fell at his feet and wept so profusely that his tears drenched Bhagavan's feet. The Maharaja then got up and said, "Bhagavan, they have made me king and forced me to sit on the throne. For this reason I am not able to come and stay with you and be in your presence. These few moments are the only precious few in my whole life. After this I will not be able to come. Please bless me." When Santhammal asked about the Maharaja, Bhagavan said just one sentence: "He is a ripe fruit." Every year in Tiruvannamalai, the Kartika festival is celebrated in a grand manner for 10 days. Lord Arunachala's idol is taken on a procession around a town, and thousands of devotees flock to watch this grand sight. Among these devotees, many were beggars, sadhus, or sannyasis, and they would come to Ramanashramam to have their food. Though they would all be served, the ashram workers felt that the crowd was unmanageable one particular year. The decision was made to stop serving them food. The night this decision was made, Santhammal had a dream. She was sitting in Bhagavan's hall when suddenly she saw something like an insect flying next to him. Slowly it became bigger and bigger and transformed into a huge red horse with wings. It went first around Bhagavan, then around the entire ashram, finally came back to Bhagavan and then disappeared. The next day, curious as to the significance of this dream, Santhammal approached Bhagavan. Bhagavan explained, during the Kartika festival, the gods and celestials come to Tiruvannamalai in the guise of beggars and sadhus, so it should be a privilege to feed them. The following morning, Santhammal reported this to Chinnaswamy, who immediately arranged to give food to all the beggars and sadhus on those 10 crowded days.